Hey everyone, welcome back to Ben Robinson Guitars, part 3 today of the short scale bass. And honestly, I have a confession to make. I had the camera rolling and I assembled the entire guitar, and the camera was not actually running. So here we are, it's my mistake. But there's definitely some things we can look at, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And again, some of the assembly is already done. The first thing I want to talk about is the neck joint. Probably, most of the guitars that I do are bolt-on necks. I do set necks on certain models, but this, for simplicity, is a bolt-on neck. And one of the things that I have seen, I've repaired a lot of guitars. I've experienced it on guitars that I personally have made. And if you use the general wood screw, whether there's a plate on the back or whatever the case is, inevitably, after you take that neck on and off, particularly if the truss rod is buried in the heel somewhere, you're taking those screws in and out and the neck on and off all the time to get that relief set right. And so as I matured as a builder, I shied away and moved away from using the wood screw approach. And what I do today exclusively is I use these bushings, and you can see the bushing there. I don't remember what the diameter is, but it's about a 1/4 inch thick, and I use a stainless steel machine screw. And I've on my previous videos I've shown the brass inserts that are buried here in the neck, and I super glue them in there, and you're not gonna get them out. To pull those out, it's just gonna leave a huge chunk. And frankly, I think what would happen is you'll either pull the threads, more like you'll pull the threads on the brass insert itself. But on the back of the neck, that you can see, I use 4 of them, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this guy in. Normally, I would use a drill with a Phillips bit on it, and just for simplicity today, I'm not going to do that. But word of caution, I never go and actually use the power tool to get these fully tight. I actually do it by hand because I can feel it, and I'm searching for just a common tension. And I don't. And that one right there was a little bit looser than the others. And I'm just feeling that tension. Shooting for some balance point there. So that's the neck joint. I have found that I can get this neck just very tight, and when you tap on the guitar anywhere, you can feel that tapping, just because of that neck joint. As far as tuners, I've mentioned I'm using the GoPros. You can see them on the back there. They work great. I've never had any issue with GoTos. Talk about controls here for a minute. So this is the control section. Don't want to lose my ground there. This is the control section. Again, this is a 4-wire pickup here. This Seymour Duncan is a 4-wire. So I've got them going into their individual spots. And again, I thought I had this recorded. Well, I have heard this guitar, and it definitely has three distinct voices. This first position right here is just this upper coil, and so if you're used to that traditional J bass sound, that's going to give you that single coil sound. The middle position is actually both coils together. They're in parallel position. I'm going to say very similar output as to the single coil. There's no really drop off between going from position 1 to position 2. Definitely a tone difference. I'm just going to call it maybe just a little more presence. It's hard to describe, but definitely a single coil is the J sound, and then your humbucker sound. Well, I'll tell you what, you put that into the third position, this thing, it's like overdrive. It is big, and these are both coils on, and they're in series operation. Big, powerful, and it's just a beast of a bass when you put it into that position. So you got that certain part of the song, or that is your particular music style. You're going to find yourself in position 3. You want something a little softer. 1 or 2 works great. And then if you want that extra little bit of boost, hit the overdrive, and you're good to go. Single volume, single tone, very simple controls, and football output jack. So really simple controls, and we're just going to kind of roll them in there and set him down, get him where he needs to be. I'm hung up on something here. There we go, round that out. There we go. Is that what I want? Yep, that's where I want right there. I'm going to go ahead and install him. We're going to put him down. There we go. Let's talk about the bridge here for a minute. Now, again, like I said, I've got the strings already in here, but this is a Goto bridge, barrel style saddles. It's simple and it works really well. So we'll go ahead and we'll put him on. And one thing I do want to mention is the grounding point. And if you can see it here, I probably need to zoom the camera in a little bit. I've had instances with repairs and so forth where, just due to the pressure of the bridge, this sometimes it's actually a thin wire. I don't know if it was missing strands or something, but it didn't have a very good ground on the bridge there because it was pressed into the wood, and over time it moves and everything else. So something I do, I like to take a little piece of copper tape here, and I actually use 2 of them, and I just set it right there, and I'm going to put another piece. And I position him so one goes under, one goes on top. And I figure that's just a little extra insurance to make sure that that's a good connection. After, this bridge is going to mash that wire into the body, and I think that's just a little bit of extra insurance. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the bridge on. Let me get my glasses on. Let's see a little better. And line him up. And I do have a drill here. Again, I did not go all the way down. Snapping a head right here on a screw right now would be an absolute disaster. And really what I do is I get these outer two, and then I tighten it down because I want it to center itself on the flathead part of the screw. So there's going to be self-centering with this bridge. And we don't got to you don't need to wrench these down, just tight without being overdone. So those 3 are in, and we'll go ahead and we'll put these other 3 in. It's centered and ready to go. All right, follow up with the screwdriver. And there we go. All right, bridge. Let's talk about the bridge here for a second. I have had it, and I have played this, and I mean, honestly, I'm happy with the tone. I am used to J bass, particularly my Tremor and Quake series. I just use a J bass setup. One's fairly close to the bridge, one here is fairly close to that. This being a single coil, I think what I want to do, and that's exactly the reason why I did it. I started with the bridge all the way back here as close, or the pickup as close to the bridge as I could. But I have 3 other positions that I can choose from here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this into the forward front position and see if it, warm it up is not the right word. I don't know. We're gonna try it. Frankly, I'm happy with the tone, but you know, we're here, so let's experiment. One quick thing I was going to mention on the controls. What did I go with? I used a 250K value pot for both the tone or volume and the tone. I did start out with a 047 cap on the tone knob, and I played that for a little bit, and then really I kept pulling that capacitor value lower and lower. This actually has an 0.01 value in it right now, and it definitely makes a difference. And you know, you can shape the tone that you like based on that. But I'm curious, doing that work with the pickup close to the bridge, and let's go ahead and move this guy to the forward position and see what I find on the tone. See what I find the tone there, and it's just going to make it a little warmer. I don't know if it's going to make it more. And right in the bridge position, it's not even really sharp. It's not sharp at all. And I'm just using just these little surgical tubing here to give me just a little bit of resistance. The pickup is actually pretty far down. There we go. I think I lined him up. Okay, we got that one. Let's see, yep, we got that in the right spot. And we're going to get him down in there. It's probably fairly close there. Somewhat close. I think that's probably going to be pretty good. Strings, these are D'Addario. I've got a 105 to a 50, you know, I'm happy with those. The other guitar strings I use quite a bit that I stock in the shop are GHS, and really GHS has treated me well. I'm a small shop. and I'm a guitar builder. So GHS has treated me really well as well. So either one of these strings I'm going to be happy with. Everybody will be happy with. And let me get this kind of back to where I started. And the other thing I did, I broke my string winder. I need to get a little better one. Get one with a ball bearing on the end. But the one I had was plastic, and of course it broke. But it doesn't take too long to get it. Especially when you got them already trimmed and ready to go. It goes pretty quick. But I have definitely been happy with this guitar. It plays. It just if you're a guitar player and you wanted to give the bass a try, and you're always afraid of this big gigantic neck, so this is going to feel right at home. I mean, I am not a bass player, although I probably of late have played the bass more than any other instrument, because I think it suits me. So I've been definitely getting used to that and playing it more. So it's very extremely comfortable to play. I think one thing, and I'm an engineer, so I am constantly finding ways of improving things and making things better. making it easier to produce. I get as much enjoyment out of that than I do, actual building the instruments. And frankly, I think I'm pretty good at it. And so there's a handful of things here now that I've played it a little bit that I see that need to be adjusted a little bit, and I'll run through those really quick. I love the body. I like the heft of the body. This guitar is about 8.5 pounds. It's a little heavier than what I typically strive for, and a lot of that it's not the neck, it's the body, and I really want this guitar to fit in what I'll call a typical guitar case. So I may end up shrinking or narrowing this body just a little bit. And when I say a little bit, if we take 3/8 of an inch from either side, then it'll fit into that standard guitar case. The other thing that will do is reduce the weight just a little bit. And again, I'm really going to try to be getting down to that 8-pound number or below. And this has got a walnut core here. Walnut's a little heavier, mahogany on the side. So walnut, that's not helping me either. But for a prototype, this thing is great. All right, let's get him tuned to pitch. And I'll tell you, I don't know, you guys, what tuners you like to use. I like to use, if you can see it here, I like to use this Peterson Strobo Plus is what I have. And the thing is just fantastic. It's so accurate. Setting intonation, it's the tool to have. If you use one of them clip-ons, they're just not accurate enough for the work that we're doing here. All right, let's see. I'm actually pretty close there. I'm just going to do standard tuning. So there we got our E real close. Man, that's real close. Alright, get it up a little higher, real close. A little too much. All right, real close. Don't have to be exact right now. Check neck relief. It's one of the first things I do once I get my setup going. And I'm going to be shooting for somewhere around 14 thousandths, 10 to 14. I'm going to start with the 14. And honestly, I literally almost tap after you do this enough times. You about know where you need to be. And that's pretty good. I'd say I'm probably around the 12 number. I can just see a slight movement of the string when I put a 14 thousandth in there. And all I'm doing is I'm using the string as a straight edge. So capo fret 1, and I put my finger down here on the last fret, and just come here to the middle. And I usually check 2 of them, and I'm getting just a slight amount of movement with the 14, so actually I'm pretty happy with that. And again, we'll play it, and if adjustments are needed from there, we can certainly do that. I like to leave, we're going to do string height right now, and I like to leave the capo on fret number 1. It just takes any variation in the nut out of the picture. So if I've got one string that's a little higher at the nut than another, your reference point is right there at the top of the fret. And I used to use feeler gauges and stuff, but again, you just do enough of this and you dial yourself in. So this is really super low right now, and I'm just measuring in inches. So I'm telling you, I'm somewhere around 50 thousandths gap between the low E and fret 12. And somewhere about 40 right now on the G string. And I mean, I need to. I mean, I'm getting. You can hear it. I'm getting a little bit of just because it's so low and that string vibration. But I mean, I know. Even with this action super low. I mean, if you were a player and you just had a really light touch, and you know, you could play this. Easy. My standard setup though, we're going to go ahead and raise it up because I use a pick at times. I do, but mostly I play with my fingers. So I'm going to shoot for about 80 thousandths. Let's see if that's the right one. Nope. And I'll tell you, you know, a lot of times you'll see. You're just using an Allen wrench or something, and spend $5. I got this at Harbor Freight. I think had all different of these Allen tips, and man, this thing is so much better than using an Allen screw. You know, after you do this enough, you find little ways of cheating to make yourself easier. All right, we're sitting about 70 right now, so we're going to raise it up just a little more. We're getting close. All right, that's right there at 80, and on this second string, I'm going to be shooting, you know, somewhere between that 70 and 80 thousandths number, about where I'm going to land. All right, I can just see the 70, so we'll give it about a quarter turn there. That should be pretty close. Yeah, I tell you what. All right, that's good. Now this guy, I'm going to shoot for about just upper 60s. Right, that's about 60 right there. We're going to give it that next quarter turn and get him to about that 65 range, somewhere in there. That's pretty good, maybe a little strong. Drop him down a little bit. All right, and then this guy right here, we're going to shoot for that 60 number. That's still pretty low action. Maybe just a little more. All right, and I'm real close. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to sight down the body, and I want to make sure that these saddles here are parallel with the body. And if I needed to make any fine adjustments, I probably will. I'm going to take him down just a little bit and raise this one. Same here. I mean, we're dealing in very minute adjustments. I'll bring that up a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, let's tune him up. Dogs they can hear the low frequency noise. They think somebody's outside. All right, that's good. Intonation should be pretty close here. As again, I didn't adjust the bridge. I just took it off and put it back on. It might move a little bit. Is one thing I do like to do after I set up a guitar. I like to let it sit overnight and come back again and check everything. You'll let everything settle and move itself out. Yep, that's right on. Nothing wrong with that. Oop, I can move him a little bit. He's pretty close. Not bad. Get my coat out of here. I could move him a little bit. If you use a strobe tuner, the easiest thing that I do is like, well, which way do I turn this? Do I bring the nut closer to the base of the guitar or the saddle? Do I move it closer to the back of the guitar? Do I move the saddle closer to the pickup? Well, the easy thing about a strobe tuner is you turn whatever that direction that strobe tuner is, that's the way that you turn the nut. So that little bit right there, just a little, or you turn the screw the same way that the strobe tuner's telling you. But if the rule is if you're flat, if your intonation is flat, you shorten the string length. Real good. I could probably do a little more. There we go. A little more. And this is always really variant on string pressure and how you play. I try to set it with a fairly light touch rather than a real heavy pressure. All right, that's pretty good. What? A little more. This guy's being cantankerous today. Just won't quite come in. There we go. Got it then. All right. So there we go. Pickup height. One last thing I need to do. I'm shooting for about 100 thousandths. Might be a little close, but probably eighth inch should be a little closer. I'll leave a little. So again, what I do, I hold my finger down on the last fret there, and then I use my feeler gauge, and I'm just looking for, on those magnets, how close am I? And really what I'm looking for is evenness. And I'm going to mark him down just a little more. And I'm going to back him out a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. It's about 100. It's about an eighth of an inch. It's about what I have right now. And again, you can dramatically change the strength or the weakness of the guitar based on that pickup, particularly one as powerful as this. So there you have it. Great. I can do some sound checks. I'll put some on there. Frankly, basses don't come through very well, and I don't have a tremendous recording studio. So if I can have a little bit on there, we will, at least to demonstrate the differences in the sound, and we'll go from there. Hey, if you like this content, like, subscribe, leave comments. I appreciate everybody that's left comment so far. I read every single one of them. Thanks, guys. Catch you guys soon. GoPro, stop recording.